Unmute. I turned the music off too early. Oh, epic fail. And I forgot to unmute myself as well. And I've unmuted everyone else. Good evening and welcome to Lads. It's Tottenham. It's Tottenham. On this transfer deadline day where, well, we're all underwhelmed and what's going to happen and not a lot's happening or something is happening. HG, what is happening? I'm confused.
What is happening is that Mr. Langer is already on holiday, I would suspect. And, the day is done. And this is what we've got. And, we'll talk about that in a bit, I guess.
Also, for some reason, I think because you went on the screen first, we're the wrong way around. There we go. Parity is back on form. And a man I saw literally yesterday, James, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Been nice. Been relaxed. Actually, nothing to get excited about, unfortunately. But hey ho, just try and make some excitement out of nothing.
Apart from seeing your dad and the dog, obviously, the dog was more interesting than me.
I was more referring to the transfer business, but
I know, I was joking. Well, Keith, we're going to get into this. So it's been a strange old day. Obviously, the rumours were rife. Ange was asked in his press conference today, which we'll talk about the team news for Sunday later on in the show, that basically nothing was going to happen. We're all hoping that Reguilon and Lo Celso will be moved on. Reguilon obviously is somewhere in the mystic circle, somewhere lost until he appears. So yeah, give us your comments as you go. Ask us questions. Excited for HG to rage.
Yeah.
Good evening, Gur. Mr. Harris, 4.2. I'm surprised, Davo, that you've given that high. But I do remember you gave the Emerson window, which was my debut that night. Deadline day 3 years ago was my cheese room debut. Obviously, we're now Lads of Tottenham. Lads of Tottenham. You gave it 6 out of 10, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, Davo. And we have 3 strikers injured. Yes, we'll come to that as well.
Yeah, but at least we have 3 strikers. That's an improvement.
More than just Harry Kane, yeah. Very, very true. Oh, no, sorry. Davo says 3 out of 10. So we're actually, according to Davo, we're improving.
Yeah, that's a rare one.
I'm quite surprised. That's almost positive, Davo. Well done. So,
where do we start, John? Seriously, this has been.
Let's start with this.
Yeah, okay.
So earlier this afternoon, Fabrizio Romano, we thought we'd hear nothing about Tottenham for the rest of the day. We'd sort of switched off a bit from it, hadn't we? Tottenham closing on a deal to sign Johnny Cardoso, the player we all knew loads about from Real Betis in the future, with also a percentage in future sale in case they decide against signing him. It's part of the Giovanni Lo Celso deal. Now, just previous to this, we'd heard that Spurs were trying to get 30 million euros for Lo Celso, and Betis were offering 6.
Yeah.
And my initial reaction was, there's no way on earth we're asking 30 million. Unless it's the club trying to play a bit of a bargaining, a bit of a, trying to drive the price up. And they've obviously come to this strange deal. So Tom Boggart had come up with, they've agreed a fixed fee for the USA midfielder Cardoso. If Spurs want to trigger and sign Cardoso in the future, the fixed fee is 30 million euros. Sources tell Ben Jacobs and him. Now, what we've since found out is apparently this is a June 2025 calendar month deal. Whether that's true or not, but so we can't sign in January. We can't sign now. It's just next June is the only option. Just to tell you a bit about. Go on, actually.
So the irony being is that he's now going to be playing with Lo Celso for a year. So we'll see how good they are together.
Yes.
But yeah, only Spurs.
Yes, so Cardoso, obviously from our extensive research, which took me about 10 minutes on Google, João Lucas de Souza Cardoso, Johnny, to his mates, is 1 meter 83 tall. How tall are you, HG, in centimeters?
About 190.
About 190. This always makes me chuckle when I see people get a bit aggressive with you online, trying to threaten you or something when they don't realize how big you are. I always find that quite entertaining anyway.
That's a bigger target to hit, let's be fair.
Well, there is that. The bigger they are, the harder they fall and all that lot. At 5'8", 173-ish, I have to go with that. He was born in the township of Denville, New Jersey, United States. He's also, he has Brazilian nationalism? Nationalist? I can't think of the word. What?
Citizenship, nationality.
Citizenship. I don't know, probably. Yeah, but he plays for the United States. So Pochettino will be his manager, interestingly enough. I think he's played 14 caps, or 15 caps he's got for the USA. And he's a defensive midfielder, so he doesn't score goals. I've seen some people saying he must be rubbish. He's got no goals or assists. But
No.
doesn't quite grasp the concept of
He just needs to play against Spurs, and that will change.
There is that, yes. He'll probably score a 30-yarder without doubt. And there's some pretty green graphs of his defensive ability. If you want to see that, you can pause on it later. I'm not going to go into that particularly unless James wants to bore us with some stats on that.
So tackles per 19 and 95% percentile. Tackles won. So typically he tries to make a lot of tackles and he wins them. Dribblers tackled. He's very good at stopping people going past him. Also fairly good at blocking. And his interceptions is really high, which means his anticipation is quite good. In other words, he's in the right place to intercept the ball, which is a good indication. And 0 errors, apparently. I'm not sure how they measure defensive errors, but apparently he doesn't make many errors, so that's also positive. Tackles plus interceptions, very high as well, 5.42. I mean, these stats are in Spain, so I don't know how well they translate over to the Premier League, obviously. Plenty of players look fantastic in Spain and then are pretty dreadful in the Prem, but that, to me, seemingly is more the attacking players. You know, you look at Hill or Celso. Typically, the more defensively minded players are okay, actually. But yeah, overwhelmingly positive figures there.
I mean, Hill scored a really good goal last night, and he also had a chance just before he did score. Typically, 15 years he was at Spurs, never came close to scoring, did he? But was it second game for Girona, scores a really good goal, and also had an almost Gareth Bale-esque goal just before, which the keeper made a really good save on. But is that just La Liga for you?
Yeah,
what I would say is,
if we're going to talk about all the players that we've let go this summer, it will be a 4-hour show. So let's not do that.
Can he take the ball facing his own goal with a striker right behind him? Because that's what he'd have to do if ineligible, and that's something we won't really know at present. He's played quite a few games. Played for Internacional. Played 17 games for Betis last season, and 1 appearance this season. WhoScored.com came up with statistically calculated who scored characteristics, strengths, ball interception, aerial duels, blocking the ball, tackling, weaknesses. The player has no significant weaknesses. Too good to be true, HG.
No, he's a defensive player, so Ange won't want him. I don't even know why we're talking about him. It's all just a scheme to somehow raise some money for selling the Celso. I mean, like the idea that Spurs could, but let's face it, if they sell him on, we get part of the deal. That is why we've done this. I mean, I'd like to see someone like that play for Spurs, but I'm not sure it's really in our future. It is more about how do we ensure that we get a bit more than 4 or 5 million for Lo Celso. The fact that Betis have even agreed to do this is somewhat strange, in my opinion, but they have done. I mean, it's not official yet, I guess, but I think we all expect it to be official by the end of the night.
Cardoso is a transfer day distraction. At least it gives us something to talk about, other than the depressing thought of another thrashing at Newcastle, Dave. So,
awfully nice of Levy to do that to give us some content, isn't it? Good of him.
Yeah. Just lining him up for him and just sacked.
This will be what we do. Like we sack Ange, and then we buy the player that his system probably needed that he didn't really want. And I don't know. I'm usually quite positive with Spurs. I think I am quite. I know people give me that I'm a negative person. I expect Spurs to lose, but that's because I've had 40 odd years of watching this. But usually when a window is ended, I'm like, hey, we've done a few things. We've tried to get better. We've spent some money and bought some players that I think will really improve us. And this time, I don't really have that at all. I am quite annoyed at the lack of incomings, sadly. But we will get into that, I hope.
Yes, we will talk about that. What I would like everyone in the comments to do is please give us your comments, any questions. If there's some news coming up, put it in the chat, because obviously I'm not concentrating on Sky Sports or anything, just concentrate with you guys. Please give us information as it's going on, and please like and subscribe. If you're watching this after we've been out live, watching it on catch up, please give us a comment, and if there's a question, we'll try and get back to you in the comments. And apart from that, let's have a good show. So I'm just going to do some positive things on the minor scale. Luka Gunter, the young goalkeeper who was playing for the under-21s tonight, has signed a new contract. I think what we've seen in pre-season, HG looks like a bit of a prospect.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not unhappy to see that. I mean, we saw Austin sign a 5-year deal a bit earlier in the year. It looks like Gunter's done the same. Whiteman is almost certainly on his way out. I suspect one of those two will be a second or third choice goalkeeper for the foreseeable future, not just this year, but like going on. And Spurs are, I guess, tying down the people they want to tie down, which is a good thing. But it's nice to see a homegrown player, like an academy player, actually come up through the ranks and get a good deal as a professional.
I don't believe so, David.
No.
No. Dawson with good decision. I like him. Yes. And the other goalkeeper at the same age, guy we brought in last year, the young Irishman Josh Keeley, has gone out to is joining Jamie Donnelly at Leyton Orient on loan. So I don't know if he's going to go in as number 1 or number 2, but he did very well at Barnet, I believe, in the first half of 2024, James, on loan.
I didn't watch him.
Oh, there we go. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Great content.
Good input.
So that's the positive. Do you want to talk?
Wait, hang on. That's the positive. We've got a young keeper on a longer deal.
That's today's positive from the transfer
deadline.
Today's,
yeah. Okay, for today,
apart
fair
from
enough.
Getting rid of Lo Celso. Okay, people are saying we haven't got enough money for Lo Celso HG. What's your view on that? So it's 5 million euros plus 50% sell-on clause apparently, and then this buy-in for Cordosa or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, we've done it differently, but considering he's only got 1 year left on his deal and we didn't want him, and it looked like he only had one team he really wanted to go to, that doesn't seem that bad. When you add all those together and you think, okay, like maybe Betis won't ever sell him, right? So the 50% could be nothing, but that 35% of whatever they sell Cardoso for, if we don't buy him, that, could well be something. And he obviously has done pretty well in Spain since he joined. So, yeah, I don't hate it, but when you consider that we don't want him and he only wanted one team, that we got any money for him is pretty good.
Yeah. Geraint summoned 2019 3 big purchases, bought for around 120 million pounds and sold for 4 million pounds. In fact, if you think about it, we had to pay Ndombele off, so we've made a complete negative. We've completely lost on them.
And he was on 200 grand a week.
Yes, exactly. Well, we had to pay him. We would have had to pay him at least 6 months of that last year, wouldn't we?
Yeah, we got some money for Jack Clark when he went to Ipswich. So we're not.
We've just had that, haven't we, to offset it? That's the four 2019 signings, right? Absolutely.
So maybe. I mean, it's still terrible. It's absolutely terrible. And this is it. Like, that's the first window after the stadium opened, and here we are 5 years later talking about it being the worst window that Spurs have ever had. I mean, that's what it would be. Like, buying and selling no one is better than what that is. So let's talk about this summer's issues, not the ones that happened in 2019.
But we were quite positive in 2019. Ndombele looked really good in the Champions League, and Sessegnon was his up. And did you notice he played 90 minutes?
Sessegnon even fit was always rubbish. He was never good enough. The fact that we bought him for 25 million when we could have had him for 3 million 2 years prior. There is no good aspect to signing Sessegnon, right? Ndombele obviously got worse, but Mourinho put him at the centre of the team and got him playing like 30 games in the season. It's just that the other managers decided, no, I'm not. He's not even worth the hassle. But Mourinho thought he was. It's just, there's so much about Ndombele that doesn't make any sense to anyone. But we set him up for life, so I guess we can do something for him.
I would be quite happy to sit on a bench and get paid 200 grand a week to do that for 90 minutes a week. I think most people would be quite content with that job.
The guy got a 6-year deal at Spurs and won trophies. I mean, he's winning at life. He didn't win them at Spurs, but he did win trophies. So, obviously, no one really likes Ndombele, and I understand why. But, I mean, he won. He is winning at life.
Sure. David says here, pound for pound, Ndombele worst ever signing. He weighed a lot of pounds as well.
He kept the local KFC certainly in business for the time.
Chicken, mate. Chicken King. So we did put this up last week, and I know caller asked you this question, HG. Mm-hmm. James, I'll come to you in a second. Out of 10, how would you rate the window for incomings only? And then we'll do the outgoings. afterwards. So we brought in. Shall I go back to that slide?
Yeah, we can. Hopefully, we can remember them. There's only
so we brought in. Now, there's two ways to look at this. You either count Bergvall now, and you don't count Yang, or you count Yang and you don't count Bergvall, because Yang's coming in January because he's signed now, and obviously Bergvall was signed in January, February time.
Can I not count
Yang.
either of them? Can I not count either?
I think you have to count one of them. You got to count one of them.
No, why?
In January.
Why?
Because he's just coming now.
Yeah. No,
or you actually hold on. It says 24, 25 transfers. In which case we count Yang, we don't count Bergvall because he was signed last year.
That's more logical to me if we count
we'll
Yang, because that happened in this window. The fact that Bergvall joined us, we knew he was coming. So whenever the window started in the middle of June, we knew we had that option coming in. So we've signed 4 people and a guy to come in January.
Yeah.
And you can talk about how good those 4 are, but we've signed 4 people, and I don't think that's anywhere near enough.
And we've got rid of about 59, haven't we?
Yeah, but I mean, like, most of those were already gone last year. Like, to me, it's not about we got rid of all the deadwood. Half of that deadwood were gone last year as well. Even if it was only on loan, they were gone. They weren't around. So to me, it's about the players that we had at the end of the season on May 19th. Which ones of those have gone, and who have we got to replace them? Because it's pretty much a 1-for-1 deal.
Yeah. I did notice Clement Longley gone to Atletico Madrid. I thought Dave, you'd appreciate that much, knowing that how much you love him as a centre back. Stuart Austin, how do we not get Eze this summer? We'll never get him now. I think the problem was, Stuart, they wanted 60 million cash up front, and we weren't willing to spend that. That's literally the problem with it,
And no one was. I mean, let's face it, Izzy did well enough to get a move somewhere, but unlike Olise, he had a silly kind of deal that he allowed Palace to do. Why anyone thought that would have ever happened? No, Palace have had him completely. And I guess there must be a Charlie Izzy somewhere in the world who negotiated that deal for his brother. Just mental. I mean, like, no one put 60 million up front. No one. So it's a useless release clause. It isn't a release clause. So, Spurs, it would be nice to have him, but no one was ever going to do that.
What I want to know is, how did Olise get away with 35 million release clause and Eze 60?
Because I think the old one they had was even less. Right. So he signed a new deal after joining and bumped up the release clause. But what was it, 45 million euros, 40 million quid? But the only reason he did that was it was worth it for him. Someone was always going to pay that. And maybe Bayern Munich had the money to pay that up front. Maybe they had the same deal. But 45 million quid for a guy who's 4 or 5 years younger than Izzy, it's that was the clear, obvious, better choice.
Yeah. James, what's your thoughts on the limited number of players we brought in?
It's a bit worrying, isn't it? Especially with Europa League, especially with the fact that that's 8 group stage games or league phase games, whatever dumb stuff they want to call it, as opposed to the 6 you'd have had previously. So, at least 8 more games. And hopefully we don't go out in the first round of both domestic cups this year. So probably, 10, 12 more games than we played last season. Right. And realistically, we have an improved squad depth. And while I watched Odegaard, however you say his name, he looked good, right? Players like that looked good. Archie Gray doesn't look awful. It is a lot of faith to be putting into 18-year-olds, isn't it? 19-year-olds. And I hope they can become good. It is a lot of faith.
Did you just say that we didn't improve the depth? And Dawson saying you did, or you both agree? Because I kind of missed that.
I don't think we've significantly enough improved the depth of the squad, because we still don't really have. We only have 3 centre backs. That worries me. Who's our backup left back? Ben Davies. What if Van der Ven and Udogie go out? Who plays left back and left centre back? And as much as I love Ben Davies, I don't think he's a Champions League level defender anymore, really. And
we're not in the Champions League.
Well, yeah, but if we want to,
be, don't we?
We have to have players of that caliber, and if we want to compete in the last stages of the Europa League, you need better players than Ben Davies. And I mean, Solanke is a good signing. I'm not still convinced by him yet, but he does improve our striking options. Shame he got injured straight away. Classic Spurs moment. But none of the signings are bad, right? And none of the players we've got rid of were wrong to get rid of. Like, I'm not upset that we lost anybody, and I'm happy with all our signings. It just feels like these are the kind of signings you make when you're already a top 2 team in the country, and you're just adding a bit of youth and a bit of depth and one more player. If we were Arsenal or Man City and we did this, brilliant window. But the issue is we need a lot more than what we've already done. I guess the idea is bring in the youth now. Hopefully it just gives us that little push to top 4, and then next window we really spend to start competing. But yeah, it's always going to feel a bit, dire, isn't it?
I mean, it feels like you're talking about. I'm so frustrated at what we've done, because it isn't enough. It just isn't enough, and I can't get my head around why we even think it's enough. Like we bought. I mean, like, I think the signings individually weren't that bad. I will say that. I don't think that Archie Gray is a bad signing. I don't think that Lucas Bergvall is a bad signing. I just think that they're going to be ready when Romero chooses to leave, and I don't want that. I want us to have a side that Romero says, "Hey, I want to stay." Like, I don't think he will want to stay, but I'd like to think we've done everything we could to maybe make that a possibility. And it's just not there. Like, if I'm Romero, I'm thinking 1 more year, and then we'll see what's about. And it's not good enough. Like, for Spurs to be where we want them to be, which is regular top 4, challenging for trophies, what we've done is not enough. And it's going to be another year of, oh, well, maybe, we'll see what we can do next summer. And there'll be suddenly more deadwood of people that we don't want around, because they won't have played that much under Ange. But Ange might be like, well, but I bought them for a reason. Hey, they're going to be first team players this time next year. It's not good enough for a club of Spurs' size.
I think Keith's got it spot on here. As soon as we get injuries, we'll plummet like last year. The difference is last year, we played 41 games. Yeah. We're going to guarantee, and we'll come to this later, in the Europa League, we're going to play a minimum of 8 games. We could easily play another 6. I don't know how many rounds are after that. 6 or 8, 7.
Depends where you finish.
Yeah.
Depends where you finish.
Then League Cup, FA Cup, we could easily be playing 60 games this season. So I'm with you. And a comment was just made there about, we tested this from Steve. We tested Dominic left back, and he did look okay in pre-season, but we've loaned him out, and it's good because he's playing more in that attacking midfield role when he's loaned, and it'll be good for him at Leyton Orient. But we haven't got the cover. We know Udogie can't play every game. Spence apparently is the sort of cover, which doesn't convince me. Ben Davies can do a job at centre back. I think he'd better off at centre back than he's at left back in Ange's system, if I'm honest. But I'd rather he wasn't playing unless we really have to. I think Dragushin is better than Dyer, even though Dyer's looked pretty good at
Bayern. But Dyer went in January. Like, I'm comparing end of the season to now. Like, Perisic has gone too. We can put that in the outgoings. No, like, I'm sorry, it's not good enough. Like, Dyer went in January and Dragushin replaced him then.
I'm just trying to sort of look at the overall picture. We desperately needed somebody who could play left back or left centre back or both, or whether can cover Van der Ven and he can play left back, because it's not going to work apart from the odd game with Ben Davies playing there. Spence worries me defensively. I know he did a good bit of covering at the end of the game on Saturday against Everton, but he does worry me on that left side. And what happens if Porro gets injured? Does that mean Spence has to play each game at right back, and then suddenly Udogie has to play each game at left back?
Well, he's got 2 feet, so get injured. He's got 2 feet, so he can play right back and left back. Surely, is that how we're going to do this now?
He is quite quick. I mean, Gray. Interestingly, when Ange was asked today about the centre back situation, he did mention Gray playing there, which I thought was interesting. But I would worry against some of the Premier League. He did look very good against weaker opposition in pre-season, but I would be worried. And he mentioned that about Ashley Phillips and Vukovic coming in next year, and they didn't want to stand in the way. To me, this window just tells me that we were told Ange would second season be looking to win something. This is we're looking to win something in 2 or 3 years' time. This is what the window to me is.
Yes, but I mean, I agree with that quote from Ange. Absolutely agree with it. But Ashley Phillips isn't at Spurs. He's at Stoke. We're not buying players for Stoke to get in his way. Vuskovic is in Belgium. We're not buying players for Westerlo to get in his way. Spurs are still a going concern. like, I mean, it sounds awful. Like, even Conte with his ridiculous loan of Longley played a lot of games that season. But there is a loan system designed for this. If you've got young players you want to get out, then you can loan someone in to cover for a year. That's exactly what teams would do. I do not understand how it's like, well, yeah, like that half of the sentence makes sense. I have no issue with Phillips going out on loan. I think it's great that him and Vuskovic could come in and be third, fourth, fifth choices next season. That's great. But what about this season? I care about 24, 25. 25, 26 looks wonderful right now, but it's a year. I don't understand the logic of basically saying, well, you know, we'll do what we can this year, but next year we'll be in a much better position. Oh, yeah, great. Doesn't help me now.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we're really going to struggle. I mean, we'll come to it later, and I know you hate predictions, but I'm really struggling to see how we can get anywhere near top 4 this season, especially with our Thursday night Europa League involvement. I think it's going to be a real struggle.
I mean, have you seen how many? Have you seen how many free midweeks we have between now and Christmas? Do you want to know?
Well, so I've got a little slide, haven't I?
Oh, you do? Okay.
There you go. So this doesn't got the Europa League in it, but this is our sorry, it hasn't got the EFL Cup in it. So EFL Cup game against Coventry will be on Wednesday, the 18th of September.
Most likely,
because we play Arsenal on Sunday the 15th.
On Sunday, yeah.
So we play, and this is why they did this weird draw in the EFL Cup this week, because the Champions League match day 1 is a week later, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. They have this weird system that the Champions League has its own midweek to start off. So the weekend, the midweek that we play our EFL Cup game is when the Champions League starts. Yes, and I think they're going to have games Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. It's the big, we're going to start this new competition. Everyone's going to watch the Champions League only. And then the following week, it's going to be, the Europa League, brand new competition. All the Europa League games are on throughout the midweek. And then the Conference League.
Only Wednesday, Thursday, not Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly. Not Tuesday. I mean, I fine, whatever. And then obviously the Conference League starts on the match day 2, as we see here, the 3rd of October. But great. But it ruined our own second cup competition by UEFA doing it. I just, why couldn't they leave it as it was? I don't know why we needed these special midweeks to start the competitions on.
It is a bit of an odd one. So, we'll play Coventry. So we come back after the international break, we play Arsenal. Then we play Coventry midweek. Then we play Brentford. Then we play our first Europa League game. Now, the fixtures will be defined by tomorrow. I don't know have they done the Champions League fixtures yet?
No, I think everything's on Saturday. I think so.
So supposedly everything by Saturday.
Yeah.
Then we play Man United away. Then we play match day 2. And knowing our luck, we'll probably have to go to Galatasaray on that. Are we away? We are away at Galatasaray. Yeah. So that's blatantly going to be the 3rd of October, because then we've got an away game at Brighton that week. And we played so well at Brighton last season, didn't we, James?
Yeah, that was a fun game. I mean, They don't have
good job
fans.
We've been to the pub first.
The only way we get a midweek off between now and Christmas is if we lose an EFL Cup game.
Yeah.
We're playing every possible midweek. So to have a squad that's in effect the same size as what we had last season, I think we're asking for trouble. He's going to have to be very good at rotation, because we didn't need to see that last year. And I guess now we're going to have to, because we can't play every player in every game.
I guess Ange will be filling in a left back if we have a couple of injuries.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the plan. Ange is going to show him how it's done on a wet Thursday night in Istanbul.
Do you reckon he's good with a high line, Ange? I'm not sure he's got the pace anymore somehow. We after the 3rd of October, we obviously play Brighton. Then it's the international break, I think. Is that right?
Yeah. The 3 international breaks. Yeah.
Yeah. When's the next round of the EFL then, HG? Is that?
So we go in at the 3rd, which is the 18th. I think there is one in the end of October. Maybe the week before. Let me look at
in between. It'll be
31st of October.
Halloween week will be. Yeah, you're right. So, so we play West Ham. Then we come back match day 3. Then we'll play Palace away. Then we'll have Villa at home. Tough game. Then match day 4.
Game every 3 days until Christmas, unless we lose, which obviously none of us want.
Then we play Ipswich the Ipswich will be on the 10th, not the 9th. Mostly, obviously, all these games will be Sundays. Though some will be Mondays.
Yeah.
And then we've got another international break because there isn't enough international football, is there? Clearly, and we come back, play Man City away. Then we've got match day 5, so no doubt we'll have another away game that week. Then Fulham at home. There's a gap there. So have we got Premier League games in between the 28th of November and the 12th of December midweek? I have a feeling we might. We traditionally do that.
There is a midweek game. Yeah. There is a midweek game.
And then Bournemouth beginning of December as well. Oh, is that it? Sorry, Bournemouth. Yeah, Bournemouth's the midweek game.
Yeah.
And I haven't got any more fixtures on that slide. So basically, you're right. We're playing all the way up to Christmas pretty much, and then we'll have the FA Cup. If we're still in the EFL Cup, we'll probably have there'll be semi-finals at that point.
Yeah, I think if we make the EFL semi-finals, we don't get a midweek off until like Valentine's Day, and we only get that midweek off if we finish in the top 8 in the Europa League. If we finish 9th to 24th, then we'll have midweeks to play those games too. It's non-stop, and yet we've decided to go with the same size squad that we had last year when we knew we had 38 games plus cup.
I'll tell you who would be hating this. Conte would bloody hate all these midweeks, wouldn't they? Bloody hell.
Wouldn't be able to go home.
Conte signed McTominay and apparently wants Billy Gilmore as well. He wants a bit of a Scottish midfield in Napoli.
He's also signed a 31-year-old Lukaku. Don't know what he's doing over there.
Is this true? Is this wind up?
I don't know.
Oh, Delhi, don't do it.
Let me search. Yeah, don't go to Russia in general.
No.
But Russia's, I wouldn't.
Well, let's have a look at this then. So we had this new
this
draw system.
This is good news. Okay.
Yeah, let's have a look at this draw. So as we said, the fixtures are going to be announced tomorrow. So we don't know when we're going to play these teams.
Oh.
So 2 from each pot. The first 2 we found out, obviously, were Roma and Rangers. So we're going to be home to Roma, away to Rangers. That'll be an interesting little trip. We've got the return of Troy Parrots to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium with Azad. And then Ferencváros, which is Hungary. Is that correct, HG? You're hoping to go to that one, aren't you?
Yeah, it's only about 3 hours away. It's a relatively simple journey. So I doubt I'll get a ticket unless I wangle it somehow. But I guess I was hoping that we're going to play in the big national stadium instead of their own, which is like 3 times the size. But maybe they'll just use their own. But I know the stadium. I know where it is. I'm excited to possibly go. But it will almost certainly be like the coldest night in January when we get to do that trip. It won't be nice. It will be awful. But that was the tie I was hoping for. I wanted Ferencváros and I wanted them away. So I'm glad that happened.
Yeah. How far is Karabakh for you? Is that like miles and miles?
It's in Azerbaijan. It's a long, long way
away.
Is it? Okay, I think it's Azerbaijan. I might even be wrong with that. But it's a long, long way.
Galatasaray, obviously. Zaha's there. Icardi's there. Hakim Ziyech is there now. I noticed. There's a few players.
They've got a whole bunch of players that we've probably heard of, and they lost in the Champions League playoff to Young Boys Bern. So that kind of shows you that they're not that great. Have
they still got the plastic pitch at Young Boys Stadium in an inappropriately named stadium?
Yeah, I think so. Well, in the Wankdorf. Yeah.
The Wankdorf. Young Boys in the Wankdorf. Yeah, that's it. Are we going to get done for our swearing on there? By YouTube.
Maybe, I don't know.
Elfsborg. I'm not going to lie. I know nothing about Elfsborg.
Sounds Swedish.
I'm going to go Scandinavian. That's about as much as I know.
Yeah, it's definitely Sweden, but it's a good draw for them. They get to go to Spurs. They get to play in our 60,000 stadium. So I'm happy for them in that respect. But 5-0, please.
Well, let's do a prediction, HG. What do we think the attendance for Elfsborg will be?
Will be like 50 quid for a family of 4. It'll be a chance for the new generation. I mean, to be fair, like I don't mean this badly. It is a chance for the new generation to get to go. Tickets for a normal game are so expensive that it's the type of game I'd have been taken to when I was a kid. So I do hope that we do something for it because we've got a massive stadium. But it's maybe we won't open the top tier. Who knows?
And finally, the one you can give us expertise on, Hoffenheim.
good side. They are a good side. A difficult group and a difficult team to be in pot 4. Kramaric is pretty much a club legend, the club legend for them. It could have been easier, but it's not a terrible thing. For Spurs to make the top 24 or whatever we'd need to be, I don't think we'd need to beat Hoffenheim. We could get a draw there. Top 8 is what we want, and we want to win all 8 games. But I do feel like when you look at the away games, like Galatasaray will be difficult just for the atmosphere. Hoffenheim, could be tough, but it's a soulless stadium. It's in a village just outside Stuttgart. It's they don't have many fans. It's what is it, that computer company, SP? I think the German guy who started that. It's his local team that he played for when he was young, and he just basically bankrolled them to get them to the Bundesliga. So that they are even less supported than RB Leipzig, which is pretty difficult to do.
I mean, Rangers away will be interesting, I think. They might not. They're still not playing at their actual stadium though, because they've had to play at the national team.
They're playing at Hampden, aren't they?
Yeah, I was asking my friend about it because he's a Rangers fan. Yeah, they're not sure if they'll be back in their actual stadium for that. Hopefully not, because the bloody national stadium has no atmosphere, and that will make it easier for us. But yeah, there's no team there that I think are better than us. My worry is obviously we have historically been prone to overconfidence in tournaments like this, and we'll play a complete B team at home to Elfsborg, and then we'll go 1-0 down, and it'll be the 60th minute, and then Son and Solanke will have to come on to bail us out, and we think, bloody hell, we made that hard work, didn't we? Which, for the new generation, what better, way to show them what supporting Spurs is like?
I actually think Rangers away will be the first game. I've got a weird feeling that will be the game that we'll use an all British tie to kind of drum up some interest. Rangers at home is a bit. I think they have to go to Man United, right? So that's a less exciting game. But Rangers at home against Spurs, and we probably won't win. We'll get a point maybe, and everyone will be like, "Oh, rubbish start." And I just that would be my completely made up of utter nonsense, but a prediction in that respect.
On the note of Roma, they've loaned Tammy Abraham to AC Milan this evening.
Yeah.
I've just seen on the BBC feed. So talking of United, I've got United's fixtures as well.
Oh, really?
So how do you compare those to ours on sort of level of difficulty, do you think, HG?
I think it's probably a bit easier. Like Fenerbahce away, obviously, is Mourinho. That will be tough. But going to Bucharest, going to Pilsen, like Twente and Glimt at home, that seems like Porto away. It won't be, but I think they've got probably 2 difficult away games, and the rest they probably win. I think ours are tougher. Yeah, I agree with Cantab.
Yeah, and I just for you, I put Frankfurt's in.
They've got. They've got 3 tough away games. Like Besiktas aren't that great, but still, it's Turkey. Lyon are improving pretty quickly, and Roma, De Rossi, I think, has got them doing pretty well. But the home games are all winnable. RFS is, I think, a Latvian side. So Pilsen at home, Prague at home, 2 Czech sides at home, and then the Hungarian. Yeah, they should win all 4 home games, and that would almost certainly be enough to get them through to another stage. So the away games are tough, but if I'm Frankfurt, I'm pretty happy with the home ties.
Yeah, I was trying to work this out. So obviously 8 games, the top 8 go straight through to the knockout stage. The next 16 have a sort of playoff in February, as you were saying, around Valentine's Day. So how many points do we think we need? I was trying to work out maybe 14 would get you automatic qualification, presuming a couple will probably get 20 or 20 plus.
I would guess 5 wins. And whatever you do after that, but 5 wins should be enough for top 8. James, what do you think?
Around 12, 15 points. If you win all your home games, 12 points, then win an away game and get a draw, 15, 16 points, you should be top 8. Because obviously then you skip around, don't you? And then if you finish top 8, are you straight into the round of 16?
Yes.
Yes, as opposed to having to play the like
Yeah.
round of 32 game or whatever it
Yeah.
will be. Yeah. Okay.
So we'd
Yeah,
have we'd have a couple of midweeks off, which I guess is the goal at that point. But yeah.
And we won't do because we're Spurs. But if we could win 5 of the first 6, we could probably play reserve team in the last 2 games in January and give the players a bit of rest. But we are Spurs and we don't do things easily, do we? So I don't even know why I mentioned it. Yeah, Steve would rather get Galatasaray out the way early. Now, bear in mind that our players lost their bottle at Leicester when those happy clappers. What they're going to be like when they get welcomed to hell, as Galatasaray's ground is quite often known. That'll be interesting.
What are they going to do when the Turks start throwing stuff on the pitch? I mean, I remember reading that they once like live decapitated a cow or something. One of their matches.
Don't they cut a chicken for a new player
Yeah.
on the centre? Didn't Les Ferdinand have it?
Yeah.
I think when he joined a Turkish team.
It's like the most extreme football hooliganism in Europe. Like you have to go to South America to get like more extreme. And our players are rattled because of like a few blokes from Leicester who work in Tesco's said something a bit mean to them. So that'll be fun.
How many international breaks? There's 3, Andy. Oh, there you go. HG's answered it for you. There you go. So yeah, one in September, 1 in October, 1 in November, and then lots and lots of fixtures in between. Fun and games. Is Sanchez? Yes, Sanchez is still there, and no doubt he'll have a brilliant game.
He'll turn into prime Maldini for 90 minutes.
Yes. So I tell you what we didn't do. We sort of discussed the ins. What are we thinking about the outs then? Are we happy? I mean, apart from Regulon, we've got rid of everyone pretty much, haven't we?
Everyone Ange doesn't want. Yeah, I would say that.
Yeah. I mean, okay, forget Werner. And the guy who plays on the right wing, who plays for Wales, who we know you don't want. Who else would you've got? Is there anyone else you would have got rid
of? No, actually, I don't think so. Yeah, like I don't like Werner and I don't like Johnson, but I think they're like I'm happy with the outgoings. I mean, because I think we all knew that the ones that were here last season that we thought were going to go went, and the ones that weren't here last season that we'd already shipped out once. Went again, whether it was on loan again or they were paid off or they were sold. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of names there, and of the first teamers, because the ones on the right were never really involved in the first team, but the first teamers on the left, how many of those went on loan last season at some point? Scarlett, Donley. No, Donley didn't. So Scarlett, Phillips did, Valise did,
Parrott,
Tanganga did, Sessegnon didn't, and Dombele. I mean, there's a whole bunch there that were already gone last season. So we've just done the same thing again.
Yeah. I mean, basically, we've got rid of the guys, like I say, that were on loan pretty much. We brought Spence back into the fold, which was unexpected, and even Ange has pretty much said that.
Yeah.
So he's sort of I'm not going to say he's a new signing, but he's an incoming to the squad, isn't he? Because he wasn't really counted upon at all.
Yeah, but whose role is he replacing?
Emerson.
I would agree with that, but the point is this is it. Like he's replacing someone we're getting rid of. It's not increasing the numbers, and I think we need to increase the numbers.
And if we weren't going to increase the numbers, we probably needed to keep the likes of Donnelly around.
Yeah,
I know we're going to use Moore and Lancashire, but
I mean,
we're going to have to use these.
We've got Moore, Lancashire. I mean, Lancashire didn't obviously get any first team minutes, whereas Moore did last season. But yeah, like I guess Tyrese Hall is another that you might want to keep around because he could do something maybe for us he might get a few Europa League minutes or something. But generally speaking, a lot of the better players that we have coming through were shipped out when maybe it would have been a good idea to keep a couple more around. It doesn't mean you want them getting significant minutes, but still, like they probably would have been used at some point had there been a few injuries, and we're going to get a few injuries.
Oh, we're definitely going to get a few injuries, and this is what worries me. And as much as anything, we're going to have to make sure we use the full 5 subs in most games and early enough, if as and when needed. And we're going to have to rotate. And I'm not saying we change all 11 players, but he's going to have to. A lot of these games, you have to change maybe 3, 4, or 5 players so that players aren't getting run into the ground. We saw what happened we only played 10 league games last season and Fulham in the cup, and we lost half our team almost through injury, didn't we? In that debacle at home to Chelsea. So we've really got to be worried. Maddison's looking good again, but we keep hearing from Leicester fans how he's like that until he gets injured, and then he takes half a season to get his form back, which is exactly what happened to us. So, and we don't, is Bergvall cover for him? James, what do you think?
No. I mean, the closest we have as cover to him is Kulusevski, basically. Because I don't think Kulusevski's a winger under Ange's system. He's not quick enough, and he wants to be fairly central. He wants to operate in the half spaces. A bit like Bernardo Silva always did for City. Much better. I mean, maybe Bergvall with Kulusevski, and you get Maddison's level of creativity, but then you're placing an awful lot of pressure on Bissouma to do the defensive work. And my issue with Bissouma is he'll look great for 5 games, and then he'll be a detriment for a game or two. He's a total form player. We have too many players like that. Richarlison's another one, where if they're on their game, they are a fantastic player, but when they're not on their game, they're dreadful. Too many players like that. Yeah. I mean, also, with all the international breaks, Romero is probably going to could end up playing like 70 games this season, club and country. And we all know that he perhaps likes to focus a little bit more on Argentina when there's an international match coming up. So I do worry in that regard, because only having 3 centre-backs is a bit troubling when there's this much football to go around. As much as I like Dragusin, he's not had a run in the team yet, has he? So we don't know how well he'll pair with Van der Ven or with Ben Davies.
I think we will see him with Davis probably in the EFL Cup at Coventry.
I just had the thought that, like, if Romero likes being in Argentina so much, then in a perfect world, we'd be like, hey, that first game back after the international breaks, maybe that would be a good chance to get like Dragusin playing those games, because he'd be in Europe. And we've got Arsenal first one up, and then Man City another one. It's just not going to happen. And that Man City game will be the Saturday lunchtime game, because they'll have a Champions League game the Tuesday night, and so it will get moved for TV. And it's just like that's the way it's going to go. So we needed to. I'm saying this again. We needed to have done more. This is, assuming we haven't done anything we won't do anything in the next hour and 10 minutes. We are setting ourselves up for a larger risk of failure than we needed to.
Yeah, I agree. It does seem that yet again we just haven't quite pushed that extra mile to get 1 or 2 top players in, because it's a squad game and we're just weak.
I understand that we can't have the same squad for both competitions. That the Europa League squad will be different, and there will be some, let's say, of the Premier League squad that won't make that. But again, if you can name a 25-man squad of senior players, and you don't have like 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 under 21s that wouldn't need to be made, then you have to have people there. It's not enough. Like, we've got our under 21s will be. Graham Bergvall will both be under 21, and they'll get significant minutes. But we don't know how good they are at Premier League level. Like, I can sit here and believe that Bergvall will be amazing, and I do believe that. But we don't even know what Archie Gray's best position is. Like, oh yeah, he played right back last season, and we looked like he could be a centre mid, but he played centre back most of pre-season. And Ange is kind of being wishy-washy about that too. Oh yeah, we don't need a 4th centre back because Archie can play there, and that might all be true. But that for Archie Gray to be Mr. Versatile at 18, we're asking a lot, and he may well be able to do it. Like, it feels as if we don't need to be putting ourselves in this position that we're relying on 18-year-olds to bail us out.
Yeah. So Michael's obviously pointing out Sancho to Chelsea on loan, Sterling to Arsenal. Chelsea's just a whole law unto themselves, and whatever happens with the financial fair play and PSR with them is going to be an interesting thing to follow. But Arsenal getting Sterling, I know you're not his biggest fan, XG, but what do you think about that? Good signing for them?
Well, he will help them navigate certain games in the Champions League. He will help them navigate maybe the weaker games in the Premier League. It'll enable Saka to get a rest. He's definitely more Premier League proven than Reece Nelson ever was. It's an improvement. I may not rate Sterling, but if you're not relying on him to play 40 games a season or to start, then he will enable, like, he's probably, what's the phrase? Like, their floor is now higher. Let's put it like that.
Yeah, they've once again signed an attacking player who's terrible in front of goal. It's quite interesting, actually. They're collecting the old Man City team. They've got Jesus, they've got Zinchenko, they've got Sterling. Like whoever Pep Guardiola doesn't fancy, it just gets on a train to bloody Woolwich, doesn't they? But yeah, sure. That's what I'd say about our window as well. We've raised the floor, but we needed to raise the ceiling as well, and we didn't raise the ceiling. So
yeah, absolutely, yeah. Okay, Jason, haven't Chelsea got a zero net spend? Well, the trouble is they spent 1.3 billion in the last three summers and raked in about 500. Now, obviously, the way accounting terms goes, I mean, they've done a lot of the contracts over 8 years, but now under the new rules of 5 years, anybody that joins now, they have to amortize that transfer value over the 5 years. They're just going to be, what have they sold? Just have a look.
And they sold Matson, and they've sold a number of youth players. Like I think Lewis Hall went off the books this summer. So I think weirdly enough, Chelsea's work this summer hasn't been that weird. It looks weird because the manager said, "Hey, I don't need 20 players." But I mean, Ange did that last season and did it this summer too. It's okay for a manager to say, "Hey, I don't really want these players." It just looks bad when Chelsea owes Sterling 70 million or whatever it is, and that's a lot of money. But actually, the ins and outs for Chelsea this summer tend to make. I think they're going to be better.
According to Transfer Market, 261 million euros spent against 175 million euros on outs as it were. Obviously, there might be some more players added to that and loan fees as well. So, if you think about the 175 million that just gets banked in this current year, the 260 million euros, this is not pounds, that's been spent will be spread over a minimum of 5 years. So that it does on that accounting terms because they made a profit, but they've got so much, their wage bill is so high and they've got so many backdated transfers that they're still trying to clear. So even Lukaku, they're making a loss on him because they're only going to sell him for about, was it 30 million euros next year? Or 30. Yeah, they're going to make a loss on him. In fact, a huge loss on him overall. And there's a number of players they've got this problem with. Obviously, Gallagher, they've made a nice profit on because he cost nothing. And is it Chalobah's going on loan to Palace? And you can see that becoming a transfer in the future, maybe.
I don't want to talk about Chelsea.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about Chelsea.
Yeah. Okay, shall we talk about Newcastle? It's something more depressing. Newcastle away.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. I thought you froze me there. So Newcastle have played 3 games, obviously, this season. They scraped past Southampton with 10 men. And from memory, wasn't the red card quite harsh in that game?
Yeah, it's when Brereton Diaz threw himself to the floor. Yeah.
But then they got away with one with Joel Linton clotheslining the goalkeeper at Bournemouth last week, and then got very lucky with the goal ruled out for handball when even Alan Shearer admitted it was never handball. You can't give that as handball. And then they beat Forest on penalties in the week. From what I understand, they haven't been brilliant this season. Here is the team that drew at Bournemouth. So obviously they had, I don't know if Byrne was playing left back and Kelly at centre back, or if it was that way around. I didn't watch the game.
No, I think Byrne was centre back. Yeah. Right.
Okay. Talk of Trippier going on loan to Everton, I saw today, but that seems to have gone quiet now. But if you look at the that front 6 is the team that beat us 4-0 last season. So
yeah. So it's about if Newcastle do what they did to us.
No, I'm lying. Sorry. Murphy was right back, wasn't he?
I don't remember.
Yeah, Murphy played right
all
back.
I remember is that Newcastle wiped the floor with us like no one else did last season. They pressed us and we couldn't cope, and they won the game handsomely and easily. And they could easily do that again because it doesn't take much to be a high pressing side. You just got to want to do it, and we can't deal with that. So yeah, you'd have to put money on Newcastle again.
Yeah, I mean, Kerry's asking, Bentancur is okay to play. Oh, she's telling us, he's apparently good. So we understand we have no strikers fit. So it looks like Sonny will be playing up front. I'm not sure if Lancashire, if he was mentioned in dispatches, he has been
injured. He's injured. He's
definitely injured. Is he?
Yeah.
I knew that he had been injured. I didn't know if he was going to be possibly back on the bench. Van de Ven, was he mentioned in the press conference at all? Because obviously people were saying they hadn't seen him training. But I don't think it was mentioned he's out, is he? I think he should be fit to play. and he will want to, put a performance in after his only bad performance in the Spurs shirt was there, wasn't it?
Well, I think, and it could be said for almost every single Spurs player that day. It's just that awful still of him, with his legs up in the air. Yeah, it's not a great look. But yeah, I think Van der Ven will play.
It was his Davison Sanchez moment, I thought, James.
Yeah. I don't remember that game. I've purged it from my head.
Okay. Well, Timo Werner had two really good opportunities early on. Definitely one was created by Johnson. They might have both been created by Johnson. But all I do hope is that neither of them are on the pitch. So what? But I think Johnson probably will be, because are we assuming Odegaard on the left, Johnson on the right? I can't. Yeah. He's not going to play Kulusevski, is he?
He might play Kulusevski in the middle.
Yeah,
that would make the most sense. Kulusevski, Maddison, Basuma, probably. You want possession retention against a team like Newcastle, and I think that midfield is probably how you best get it. I mean, Bentancur's only just come back, so probably not him. I mean, who else? Archie Gray? No.
I mean, it'd be a fun place for Archie Gray to play, since he's from Durham. I mean, to make a full debut up at Newcastle would be good for him. But yeah, Spurs will go for the jugular as best we can, and I suppose that's all right. I mean, we're not great defensively, so we'll try and outscore Newcastle and hope that we score this time.
Yeah, I mean, they are weak defensively. I don't think they're exceptional in any real way. I think they just press hard and work hard. I don't think any of their players are particularly world class, bar maybe Guimaraes. I mean, they're not.
Yeah,
we have more talent than them. Sorry,
and Isak.
Yeah,
Isak's top player, isn't he? So, what do we think about this then? So your options are play Son as the striker, which means Johnson probably has to play, or Kulusevski as the striker, as he did in pre-season for a number of games, and Son plays on the left or the right, and Odegaard on the opposite side. HG?
I think Kulusevski will start as the 9. We did it so much in pre-season. I feel like Ange just said, no, I don't want to play Son down the middle anymore. I think Son has probably said, I don't want to play down the middle anymore. So it'd be a question of who plays down the right. And I think Johnson will start. Doesn't mean I want him to, but I think he will.
I mean, Cantab saying rest, which is a good way of saying drop.
Quite.
Yeah.
Rest him for the Welsh games. That's what it is. Yeah, we're just doing Wales a favour.
Yeah, definitely.
Big Craig Bellamy was solid.
There's a difference playing at home, though, isn't there? Playing Forest on a Wednesday night, this only thing. But hopefully he's still rusty and has a terrible game.
Plus, obviously, Forest sat deep.
I don't think Trips will be playing, Paul. It'll be Livramento probably playing right back. Yeah. And Dawson's saying Johnson will start. So, I mean, I guess the key is trying to actually get a bit of domination, get the foot on the ball. Do you think I could see Bentancur and Basuma being that midfield, do you think? Or SARS looked rusty, I thought, HG.
I don't feel like, even though it's a completely different game to last week, I suspect Ange will want to try and keep it going and get some confidence and play attacking players. And so he can't put Kulusevski in midfield, but that doesn't mean he can't put an attacking player in that spot. So if he moves Kulusevski to the 9, who do you put as the 8? Well, if Bentancur's fit, he might be it. He might be a bit bolder and go for Bergvall, because that's the next option if you want to be more attacking. And then Basuma, I would imagine, will be the 6. So he's got choices, but if you're going to beat Spurs and be Ange, then you're going to play attacking players. You're not going to bring Sarr back, because Sarr probably will make you a bit more solid, but I think he'll take away from our ability to score goals. So I think Ange is probably going to be a bit gung-ho, but I thought we were a bit gung-ho last week and we won 4-0. So why not try it again?
The difference is, A, we're at home, B, we're playing Everton, who are terrible.
But even then, I didn't expect him to go as gung-ho as he did in that game. Like, I'm glad he did. I'd like to see that more. But we didn't see that much last season, whether it was injuries or not. And so, but Newcastle away is a different game. And, are we going to adapt, or are we just going to be like, no, we are going to out-attack you in the same way that our dealers used to do, or used to want.
Yeah, I mean, also...
I'm sorry, I'm just confused by Dawson's comment. Madders is playing twice? Or has he got...
He's got 2 feet. He can play 2 positions. Like,
sorry, James.
I mean, I think the other thing is obviously Everton sat back quite a lot, whereas Newcastle won't. So we'll have space in behind, and we do have a lot of relatively quick players. So obviously that presents that opportunity for us. But Everton are probably the worst team I can remember seeing in a very long time. Like, they are atrocious. They just don't have
Sheffield
good
United.
players. Yeah, that's the competition. It doesn't bode well, and I don't even think it's the manager. They have a good manager, so I think they might have the best stadium in the Championship next year.
So, HG, you might have seen this earlier because I put it in WhatsApp, and I'm going to put a question for everyone in the comments. Some of you might remember the game we lost 4-0 in April at St James's Park. We're the next year 0.69. Newcastle had 2.65. Fair enough. Our possession, we had the bigger share of possession. Put in the comments what you think our possession was, possession percentage. Obviously, where it was on the pitch is another matter. But this surprised me, I have to say, because I a bit like James, I shut a lot of this game out of my mind because I actually think I switched off in the second half and I had to go and take the children out or something, and I was quite happy to do so.
Yeah, quite. When was this possession? Were we already 4-0 down when this happened? I mean, that.
I'll go back to the game while we're chatting, and I'll have a look if it was first half or second half. I can't go. By the way, Djurgården, Bergvall's former team, beat Maribor tonight yesterday in the Conference League qualification, which is quite nice. So they're going to be in the Conference League. Hope you know. Oh, okay, so everyone seems to remember, or they've been googling. I've got 73%, but they got 71. That's give or take. That's
what was the score at halftime in that game? I honestly don't remember.
It was 2-0. It was 2 goals in 2 minutes, wasn't it? Around the half an hour mark.
All right.
When was this game?
Mid-April.
Mid-April.
Was it a week before we played Arsenal?
Maybe. I know we lost 4 of our last 7.
Yeah.
We played City, Liverpool, and Arsenal, and played Newcastle, Liverpool, Arsenal in those 2 weeks, and then played City a couple of weeks later, didn't we? So we had quite a run.
God.
That was a great result for Spurs. Losing.
Yes, I remember that.
We weren't that bad first half. We had 60 seconds of madness, and then we fell apart. Yeah, that's we had we had a couple of chances, like I say, and if you take those chances, but it was Timo Werner, and he was never
saying nothing. I'm saying nothing. Wasn't good enough then, isn't good enough now. But at least he's 5th choice now, as opposed to starting most games. So there is something there.
It is impressive how he.
Go on.
Timo Werner once managed to score like 26 goals in a season, and I'm just wondering what were goalkeepers doing that season? Did they have a sign up that says if Timo shoots, you have to just move out the way? Like when they have those like kids on the pitch because they're ill or something, and they like let them score the penalty, right, on purpose. Was it like that? I don't understand how he's ever managed to that. I've never seen a striker with worse finishing than Timo Werner. Maybe Raheem Sterling. But
I remember watching some of those games. A lot of them were just blasts. Like they'd play on the counter attack quite a bit, Leipzig, and he'd run through and just blast it 1-on-1 with the keeper, and he put his foot through it. There was no real finesse to a lot of those goals. But we don't play counter attack, so
yeah,
that's right. So so first half we had 67% possession, and second half we had 79% possession.
Brilliant. Oh, take that to the grave. That is a memory, cool memory of being a Spurs fan.
Proves that it means absolutely bugger all, doesn't it? Really?
Yeah, like the assist stat.
Yeah, absolutely. As Soul Sniper says, possession means nothing if no threat. And that's probably why we do need Kulu playing, because we need someone who can hold the ball up, and we know Sonny can't do that. The only difference is if we can play the ball over the top of their back line, Sonny's got the pace to probably beat definitely Dan Burn, isn't he? It's just whether we play those clever passes or not. And I think Porro can play them, and I think Madders can play them.
We've played a few long balls in the game so far. Like Madison's been in a couple of times, and I don't remember us even trying that too much last season. So maybe like if they try and press us and we play those short 5-yard passes to a midfielder who then plays one first time over the top, you're right. Johnson and Son and whoever it is making those runs could easily get in, but what they do with it once they're there, I mean, that depends on the player, I suppose. But there are tactics we can use to kind of keep Newcastle at bay a little bit.
I mean, there was definitely a tactic yesterday. How many times, on Saturday, how many times did we switch it out to Odegaard on the left?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember so many crossfield passes. And like you said, Romero, was it twice Romero played the ball over the top for Maddison?
Mm-hmm.
And the first time he just miscontrolled it, went behind him, and Pickford managed to get out and block it. And the second time he couldn't quite grasp it. But that was the old Toby or Dyer to Delhi, wasn't it?
Yeah, mostly Delhi. Yeah,
They're definitely changing tactics, and people say Ange doesn't change. Well, that clearly was a tactic against a back four that's going to keep quite narrow, and a 19-year-old on his debut for Everton playing fullback, who I thought he was pretty decent as well.
He did play quite well.
Pretty well, didn't he?
Odegaard
Clearly
did this weird thing. Sorry.
Go on.
He did this weird thing where he had the ball and he tried to run past the defender, which is really weird because I've not seen our players do that. Like, I thought you just had to pass it backwards.
Yeah. Odegaard and Son can do well against those fullbacks, so it'll be interesting. I always find it interesting that Son, and I think he's done it on the odd occasion, rarely plays as the right winger. Given the number of times he's cut inside and scored left-footed in the top corner, I know he's done it with his right foot, but you think he could play the right winger as well as left because he's so two-footed, he can go either way.
I mean, really, when we had Desk, it was Dele or Ericsson cutting in from the left, and Son played right wing. That's why the whole left wing back seemed so weird at the time. But yeah, we have options. Like, I mean, this is it. Like, I don't rate Johnson as a player, but this is the kind of game where he could be useful because we need to be able to pin their defense back and make them worried about a ball over the top. Otherwise, they'll just sit on the halfway line and it'll be half-court football and they'll win.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's going to happen then? Come on, guys, give us your score predictions in the chat, please. Give us a like if you haven't done that. If you're watching afterwards, again, give us your score prediction. James, I'm going to come to you. I'm padding it out a little bit for you because you're thinking really, you doing your thinking on the old beard. I'm going to give you my score prediction, and I'm just in my brain really struggling to see us win. So I'm going to say we're going to lose 3-1. James.
4-1.
2.
Don't know who. It'll be 4-1 either way.
Okay. Oh, is that me? So I lost you then. My Wi-Fi is going a bit. Have you got me?
Yeah.
You're very pixelated, but yes.
Okay.
4-1. Yeah.
Okay.
And
my little Wi-Fi thing's up in the top corner, so I don't know what I can do about that.
Well, everything's okay. We can still see you and hear you. Right.
Oh, fine. Okay. Hey, Stu?
I kind of agree with Cantab and Andy ENG135 who have said 2-2. I'm not convinced by our defense, even though we've only conceded 1 goal in 2 games. But yeah, like I can't see us. Like I want us to win, but I think the two sides are pretty much level anyway. We're not playing great. So 1-1, 2-2, but it'll be a draw.
I'd rather predict a loss and be wrong today. That's my premise. After the last 2 seasons, the scarring of that 6-1 in Hugo Lloris's last game, and the supposed punch up he had with Romero at half time.
Was it with Romero? Yeah, no wonder he never came back. Blimey.
I'm surprised. Well, I'm surprised if it was
they
with
came
Romero.
to blows, is what we were told.
Came to blows
Unofficially.
And he didn't go home in a he didn't go home in an ambulance.
Well, maybe you did. We never saw him again.
Well, that's true. he's dead. He's buried him in Buenos Aires.
And he's got 73% possession, 2-2. Brilliant. It's okay, HG. It's not your to predict a win.
Hey, and when Brentford comes around, you might see it. I'm not predicting a win for the Arsenal game. I can tell you that now. So Brentford, it's doable.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not making predictions.
There's 48 minutes for Daniel Levy and Langer to pull out a rabbit out of the hat, which we know is not going to happen. So let's move on to the other weekend games quickly. Arsenal, Brighton looking good. Actually, they've done some good business, haven't they?
I think they've bought wisely. They bought a lot, and so it might take a while for them to really settle. But they've won 2 games out of 2, and deservedly so. And if they make it 3 out of 3, then perfect.
Yeah. James, scoring Arsenal Brighton. What do you think?
Probably 3-1 Arsenal.
Yeah.
Home win.
I think
Home win.
2-1.
Just say it. Home win. It's a home win every
2-1
day of the
Arsenal,
week.
and it'll be like the 94th minute or something, won't it?
Probably.
Something
Or a
really
dodgy red
Yeah.
card for some Brighton player. Arsenal will
Brown
get away with something.
envelopes to the referee.
How do you think the new manager's going to do there? Was he 31? Isn't he, HG?
Mm-hmm.
Where was he before in Germany?
St. Pauli. So he was he got promoted with St. Pauli. So he didn't do a top division game in Germany. It was a bit of a surprise he went to Brighton, but yeah, I think he'll do okay. Like I do think he'll probably do a better job at managing the players that he's got than De Zerbi did, because De Zerbi, it felt like he was just picking names out of a hat. There was no real logic to the teams he would pick. But I think Huertela, he will do better at that. And they've got some good attackers. Like, he's winning games with Welbeck. I mean, that's something. But João Pedro is a great player. I don't know if Evan Ferguson is dropped or injured or whatever, but they've got so many good attacking players that it's no wonder they're scoring goals.
Yeah. Billy Gilmore has joined Napoli for an initial £12 million, apparently.
Ooh.
Quite an interesting one, plus 4 million add-ons. So there you go. So how long do you think Conte will be at Napoli for? Do you reckon he'll be there after the next summer?
He's already had one meltdown, so
I think
So
he'll
16 to come.
he'll do a full season, and then at some point next season he might say, there's something else that I want to do. But I think they won their last game 3-0, and they had like 38 possession. I mean, it was Conte ball, perfect. So
I think they lost the first game they played.
They did.
They lost 3-0.
Yeah. I predict he'll be there for a year. They'll finish like 6th or something, which, considering they finished like 14th last season, isn't bad. Right. And then the second season will start badly because the players are fed up with him being a bipolar crybaby. And then he'll go midway through next season, and he'll get paid a load of money, and then he'll go back to, I don't know, whatever he does, drinking wine with old people in Naples. Yeah, jet skiing. I don't know what he'll try his hand at.
Enough about Conte. Brentford, Southampton, James.
Brentford at 7-0 because I just fucking hate Southampton.
Yeah, Southampton don't really seem to have anything. So I will go for Brentford, and then Southampton will win 2-0.
Brentford 3-1. Wissa and Buembo will score, and someone else. Yeah. Everton, Bournemouth. Now, this is an interesting one because Bournemouth look pretty decent and Everton don't. But Everton, it's going to be one of those ones. Everton will scrape a 1-0 win from a set piece or something, or Bournemouth will just hit them on the counter and win 3-1. I'll go Everton 1-0.
It's Everton at home, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've always got to back a Dyche side at home, but at the same time, they are bloody awful. And Bournemouth look all right. 2-0 Bournemouth.
Yeah, I go with a draw on that one. Yeah, a draw.
Okay. I'm going to go Fulham or Ipswich. Going to be the first win or not? Fulham to win, I reckon, on that one.
James?
SG? Oh, you going?
Right. I think Ipswich will win.
2-2 draw, I reckon.
We've covered all the bases. Good.
Yeah.
Villa will smash Leicester, no doubt, and make us look even worse for not winning there.
Agreed. Away win. Yep.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah. Forest have done a lot of business, I've noticed, in the transfer market, haven't they?
Really? Forest buying players? You do surprise me.
Not like them, is it? Even Wolves have signed a couple of players. Oh, this is a tough one to call, isn't it? Oh, Nuno against Wolves again, isn't it?
Yeah.
2-2 draw.
I will say away win. Yeah, Wolves.
Ball draw 0-0. 0-0. Nuno ball, mate. 0-0.
Okay. West Ham. Man City will beat Lopetegui's West Ham, but it's going to be a tough game. 2-1.
Yeah. Oh, Man City.
Yeah, I can see it. I can see it being a 3-2, and West Ham get like a set piece goal or something, and then Haaland does something stupid.
Okay. Palace have started a bit slowly, so I'm going to go Chelsea win there.
Yeah, Chelsea.
Yeah.
Chelsea don't seem capable of defending, but they can score. So maybe like 3-1, 3-2, something like that.
Okay. We've obviously done the Newcastle Spurs game and the Super Sunday big game for Sky, Manchester United Liverpool.
It's the only game for Sky this weekend, isn't it?
No, our game's on Sky.
Yeah, yeah, I know. But for Newcastle Spurs, they'll talk about Man United versus Liverpool. It's the only game they care about. I hope Liverpool win handsomely because Slot and Ten Hag do not get on. Like that's an added level. They do not get on because Ten Hag got really pissy. I think in a press conference last season where they were trying to say that Arne Slot had done just as well in the Dutch league, and he's like, "I've got 4 titles and Slot's only got 1." I hope Liverpool wipe the floor with Ten Hag because he is a fraud, a real fraud.
The thing is, Man United at home, and on their day, they like the FA Cup final, they can play well, can't they? But Liverpool,
good news for Man United is that Mason Mount got injured, so that will help them. But please, Liverpool, please. My heart is ruling this one. I want Liverpool to win 3-4-0.
The interesting one here will be: will United sort of target Gravenberch playing the 6 role? Because isn't he more of an attacking midfielder? And
it's not really his game.
He's trying with that role. Yeah. Most games are won and lost in midfield, aren't they? So it will be quite interesting to see how this game pans out. I'm going to have to go draw. I'm going to go 2-2. James?
I think Liverpool will win comfortably 3-0. Man U are awful. They're dreadful.
I mean, what are Liverpool doing signing a 6th striker? Do they not realise that, you need 18-year-olds to win things? I don't know what they're playing at. And the wages might be high, but the fee's really low. So that means he must be awful. It's just that's how a club operates. I'm sorry, goals will win you things. And Liverpool have tons of goals in that team. And
but have you considered that we could make a massive profit on these young players?
That is true. Well, yeah, when they do all right for 2 or 3 seasons and they get a better offer, they'll be off. But
I just want to. Obviously, we've changed the name of the show. We've started up a new Twitter account because the Cheese Room is still running as an audio pod, so that Twitter account is still going. So please do follow us on Lads It's Tottenham, the Twitter. If you're not already, it's just @It's Tottenham. If you can't find it, otherwise, if you go to any of obviously I'm at Spurs Fan John, at Spurs Fan HG. James has got about 69 accounts, I think. Probably a bad number to choose. It's obviously in the head. We've retweeted the show today. Well, I have anyway. HG Moan, I've done. Please do give us a follow on there. We're trying to get the numbers up on there to help us rebuild the show. Obviously, where we haven't done stuff over the summer, the numbers have dropped a bit. So we're just trying to re-get there and see what happens. Thanks, Dawson. Lit, just as Caller said last week. We are lit. HG. So we've got 37.5 minutes left of the transfer window. Anything going to happen?
Do we think that Reguilon will go? No. Right, not tonight at least. Maybe he'll go.
He could go to Turkey or Saudi.
Yeah,
that's about it.
I don't think he's interested in either of those options. I think he will, be in the naughty corner or whatever. But I think he's going to be at Spurs this season, and will probably, 4th choice left back if everyone else is injured. But still, do we think Devine's going to go out on loan? Because there were rumours that he could go to Sheffield Wednesday or to, I think that's
Birmingham were very close to doing the deal, but that collapsed apparently. So I'm not quite sure why. Whether we're going to keep him. In some ways, I'd like to keep him. I think there'll be enough chances for him.
Devine is one of those players who, again, he might not play Premier League minutes, but Europa League he'll be on the bench and he might get a few minutes there. And it's not great for his development, but 8 games or 6 before Christmas, hopefully a couple of EFL ties he might be on the bench for. It's not ideal, but the fact that he is under 21 and has been at Spurs for a long time means that he is useful for the Europa League campaign. So I hope Devine doesn't go. but yeah, he might.
Oh, so sorry. I just 40 minutes ago, Fabrizio Romano gave the here we go for Sancho to Chelsea.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's pretty much a done deal.
he's a
I'm
good
just saying,
player,
he did,
Sancho.
yeah. He also said Sterling to Arsenal is in the final stages. Medical ongoing for Ward-Prowse at Forest. Ugarte is a done deal for United. Finally, it's taken about 4 days. I was just trying to find because of the question about Lo Celso. I'm pretty sure we did have a here we go, didn't we, for Lo Celso to
Yeah,
Betis?
there's been a here
Yeah,
we
it was quite a
go.
few hours ago. So that will be done because as long as the deal sheet's in, they can finish it all tomorrow, basically.
So yeah, it's weird. Like I hope that that Divine stays, and I hope that Reguilon is at least involved. If he's at Spurs, like I know people talk about he's a bad egg and all the rest of it, but I mean, Spence was a bad egg. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't know where the bad egg stuff comes from. I really don't. But yeah,
my
we'll see.
view was he's just a bit lightweight. But I thought in pre-season, the couple of games he did play last season, he seemed to be okay. Maybe Ange just didn't.
He's got
think
the
he could play the
energy
role.
to play the role, to get up and down. Like I
Yeah.
don't really trust him as if he makes those runs from deep that he'll make the right option. But we are short. Like I agree with you, John. You said earlier that Ben Davies is going to be kind of left centre back. It's probably his best position. I'm okay with that, but then we do need. It would be nice to have Reguilon around. Like he's the last one out. Yeah, is it because no one wants him, or is it because Spurs have thought, well, if we can get someone in, then it's worth getting him out? Because we've had a 1-for-1 policy for a number of weeks now. So yeah, I don't know, but yeah, it would be kind of stupid if he was around and we didn't at least involve him in the squad. That's my opinion.
Yeah. Well, as Jason said, there's your left back. So maybe that's why we haven't signed anyone, because we were waiting to see if we can get Reguilon out the door, and he is the backup. Maybe he will be registered as
like again, like Spurs aren't short of wage. Like we've got a lot of wages we can spend. The idea that he's earning 50 grand a week, we can't get anyone in until we make sure that money's being paid by someone else. I mean, that is a poor attitude. If that's the case, then that is ridiculous, because Spurs have shifted a load of wages, and the players we've brought in are not on big wages. Maybe Solanke is, but the others won't be. And yeah, it's no excuse.
Oh, this is an interesting one. Dan Juma is joining Brian Hill at Girona.
Yeah, Champions League players, both of them. Interesting, huh? How like Girona, like they're getting people in to play in the big tournament. I don't know what they think they're doing. Don't they realise that the money needs to be saved for some other future project? And it's just,
why aren't they building a hotel like big football clubs?
They should. I mean, if all those people who want to fly into Barcelona and go to Girona Airport, that's what they need to do. Just shift them off to go and watch the local side. It's pathetic. Like I really, like most windows, I have something to be positive about. Like even when we didn't sign anyone, I was kind of like, but we've got a pretty good team. It's okay. We don't have a pretty good team. We were very easy to beat at the end of last season. And it wasn't just because of injuries, because like most of those players came back January, February, and we weren't great. I don't understand why we seem to think that, we'll just get better at doing these things. I don't see it. I really don't.
I mean, Kerry's point here about we've loaned Werner, which is really, the fact we did it so early is really the most baffling loan now, because I'd have expected that more to happen this week in many ways. Like, we can't find anyone else, let's get him in now. Did they hoodwink the club into he's got loads of offers? Because we all know he didn't have loads of offers.
I don't know. The fact that we loaned him in, and then we had obviously we had Mikey Moore coming through, who most of us think we'd like to see him get a decent amount of minutes this year. No one expects him to be Rooney at 17 and play lots of games. But we went out and signed 2 wingers, even though Yang's not going to show up for 6 months. We went out and signed 2 players that do, like he'll be on the bench tomorrow because we've got 3 strikers injured. But when everyone's fit, does he make the bench? I mean, that's the question. And for a lone player, you want to make sure that they're there. That's baffling. Absolutely baffling.
My worry is the experience. I know everyone wanted Højbjerg out, and he needed to go, but his know-how when he came off the bench,
he played in a load of games.
When he started, he was terrible. and a couple of sub periods he wasn't great. But when he came off the bench, he helped either shore games up, or in the case of the Liverpool home game when they were down to 9 men, we were trying to get a goal. He was the one pinging balls around. He changed how he played. But we haven't brought in that experience. We brought in a lot of youngsters who've got bright futures and will be exciting and good signings long term. But I'm a bit worried that our experience is limited to Bissouma, who obviously is on the naughty step, Bentancur, who's been chucking things at the crowd and had made comments that he shouldn't have done.
Yeah, but not a Spurs crowd. I mean,
No. It's great because he's not going on until the international breaks now. He's banned for 4 games, so that's actually worked in our favour.
Absolutely.
Maddison, who is a bit stroppy by all accounts. Son, who just loves everyone and is probably needs to be a bit more of a captain at times. I think he's great for morale, but maybe needs to learn when to give out a bit of a bollocking, probably with some of the players. Or how, and Werner, who can't hit a man door, as you say, he's got one trick basically. So
what is that? What is the trick?
Switch it to his left foot and try and get it across the goal, and hope Johnson's on the end of it. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, because Kulusevski won't be up there.
We've had a few own goals, haven't we, that way? Moore will not be on the bench. We're not playing tomorrow. It's Sunday, but you're right. Yeah. I would suspect Moore won't be on the bench on Sunday.
No, me too. But it's no one really thinks that Mikey Moore is going to be starting Premier League games. He may not even start Europa League games, but do I want him on the bench instead of Werner? Yes, I do, because Werner is not the future of Spurs. He's not no one knows where he's the future of. He might be the future of retiring in a couple of years. He's made his fortune.
Well, let's face it. Anyone with any logic would say we're not going to cash in on that buyout clause for 8 million euros. But I'm a bit worried with our current logic of this transfer window that we might actually buy him next summer. No, I don't think we will. But I'm doubting myself with what we have done in this window and how it's going. So
we've done so little. We've done so little in this window. I can't stress how bad I think we've done. They had months to prepare. Months. And it was
there was a plan, HG. It was all the plan, apparently.
The plan was to re-sign Werner. That's a bad plan anyway, but fine, that was there, right? And then the plan was, we're going to sign Archie Gray, but we're not going to do anything until Brentford set the deal up for us. So that was a good bit of planning on that part. And then who was next? Solanke. We're going to sign a striker 3 days before the start of the season. What a plan. That was a great plan. He'd not done anything all summer. He'd not played in any tournament, but we planned to do that 3 days. No, we didn't. And then Odebear comes in 3 days after the first game of the season. Great plan. I'm sorry. It is awful. It is absolutely ridiculous that is where we are. The South Korean kids, we were in South Korea. You played pretty well. We saw you. It's not a plan. I'm sorry. Ange went on and on at the end of last season about, he's happy with what we've got planned. Clearly, to me, the players that we've bought outside of Werner were not planned. The fact that Werner is the one that was planned is ridiculous. Spurs should be better than this. And we're left hoping that a bunch of teenagers or Jed Spence or whoever it is will come in and do the job. It's absolute nonsense that's where we are.
Do you reckon he's just sat there at home, scrolling through Twitter and watching compilations and going, this fella looks good. Yeah, let's sign in.
I don't think they've done anything. If they're looking at data, right? I mean, this is it. It's a data signing. I'm not being funny. Anyone can do that. Anyone can look at data. You might not be able to interpret it, but you can look at the data and say, he got goals and assists for Forest. He must be good. But they play in a counter-attacking team. Yeah, but, look at those goals and assists. It is nonsense. Absolute nonsense. You cannot tell me that anyone, when I look at it, I think this is sabotage from within, because that's more believable than the fact that this was the plan for Spurs. I'm sorry. I understand that Ange has to toe the line and say the things that he said, and it's a good thing that he's done it, but this is not the plan we had. And I can't believe it's plan F. Mental.
It does feel like we're doing the footballing equivalent of austerity, doesn't it? A little bit.
Oh my gosh, don't get into that.
But it
Let's
is
not talk about
baffling,
politics.
No, I wasn't. I
We've
was
saved
just
money.
using
No,
the
you're
word.
right. You're right. We have saved money. We've probably killed off a few pensioners. Just no.
Do you reckon
Sorry.
Levy's banned branded baked beans in the canteen, and we're on the little own brand now? Do you reckon?
Like, what was our ratio? It was always under 60%. Our wage to revenue ratio,
Yeah.
like it was.
Oh, yeah,
It was
And
always
we
one of the lowest, and we've
We've
saved
saved
a
fortunes
bunch
this
of
summer.
money this summer. And what have we like? And again, like we spend what 120 million. Like we've got that revenue coming in, and to be fair to the club, for the last couple of summers, we have spent money. We have spent money, and so to not do it now, it's just all of those high wages that we got rid of. Like Perisic was on almost 200 grand, and Ndombele's gone. We've done all of these things to say, great, like all those costs, we don't have them anymore. Now we can go and invest. No, we've not invested.
Well, you don't know that, HG. Levy may have invested in some new and upcoming business ventures. So he has invested, just not the kind of investment we're looking for.
He's looking for a great 2026, 2027? That'll be a wonderful season, maybe. I mean, Romero will do well. We'll probably win the Champions League at Real Madrid. But he won't do anything at Spurs that season because he'll be gone. And Van der Ven will be gone. Like, they're not waiting around. Players, like, it's just crazy to think that they will stay at a Spurs team that, like, I've seen a lot of predictions that maybe 5th or 6th is where we are. I don't know if that's as good as. I think we might be worse than that. Like, I really do. We have not improved. We were relatively fortunate to finish 5th at the end of the season. The only reason we did is those first 10 games, right? And those first 10 games, yes, okay, it was. But it's like you could say that's the new manager bounce. You could say that. I mean, even in those 10 games, we weren't massively better than the teams we beat. We got some good results. But you look at the XG, they were pretty even games, a lot of them. Spurs, like we should have, to me at least, we should have gone into the season thinking we were pretty fortunate last year. We need to up our game. And I just don't think we have. We've got and I say this, individual signings, I'm not against any of them. Like, I think Solanke works for what we want to do. And I think the 18-year-olds could easily be great players in a couple of years. But for this season, it's tough to look at it and say, yeah, Spurs are going to do better than 5th. We've got more games. Other teams have strengthened. Are we really closer to the top 3? No, in my opinion.
The thing that baffles me as well is Ange never stays anywhere for a particularly long period of time. So is he planning to stay here to see this wonderful future? You know,
he's got a 4-year contract. He's probably on really good money. Like, there's no real benefit for the club to sack him. Because we have decided we're going to go all in on this young team that we're going to try and build, and yeah, maybe in 3 years, 2 to 3 years, we'll be good. Right? That is true, maybe, but I care about now.
He's trying to replicate what Pochettino did when he first came in. In a way, Levy, that's what he's hoping for again. He's hoping for another Harry Kane in the young players almost. That's what it feels like.
But Harry Kane was what, 21 when he started playing for Spurs?
And it was that's a generational thing that happens for you once every 20 years. That's not a consistent thing. It doesn't seem like there's a well thought out plan. The plan seems to be sketchy at best.
Yeah. I'm just sitting here chuckling to myself that it's a good job Gibbo's not in here, because Gibbo's anger and your anger together, HG, tonight, just we might combust.
And we are I will get this out here. We are the two that were like, Brennan Johnson is wank. Don't sign him. And maybe he won't be. You know, maybe in 26, 27, he'll be ready to play first team football for Spurs.
Well, I was thinking with Brennan Johnson, right, because he always plays so much better for Wales. If we make him put on a Wales shirt underneath the Spurs shirt, right, and hide it, he might actually try and take on a player, his defender.
Or if we played like a counter-attacking underdog team, he would look better. But we don't. We don't want to be that team. No. I don't want Spurs to be that team. It was a terrible fit from day one. And was that a data signing? Yeah, maybe the woman from Star Trek. Is it a woman who's data? I don't even know. I don't watch Star Trek. It's just...
No. Data was a male android.
Data was a male. See, this is how much I know. But it's the type of signing that data the Star Trek character makes, not someone who's looking at some numbers.
Okay. So we've cheered Kerry up. So good news.
Wonderful.
Love you, Kerry.
And
We miss you.
we're gonna get a point at St James's Park. That's tonight's. That's what we've decided. And
Very positive.
onwards. And then we've got a 2-week break. While we get depressed after we lose 7-0 to Newcastle before we come back and play Arsenal. So simple, easy life, and all our new signings can play. Odegaard, and that's probably it, isn't it? Obviously, half our squad will get injured on international duty as well. So then we will have Archie Gray at centre back.
This made me laugh.
He uses FIFA 2008.
I'm not even sure he does that. I mean, I'll be honest. I don't really blame Levy. I know I probably should, because he's appointed these people to do the job, and maybe he's appointed them to do a certain kind of job, which is to lower the wage bill, and it's like the opposite of fattening this up for a takeover, as in we're going to lower costs so you've got no costs to deal with when you come in. It's like that. That makes more sense to me than anything else. That he's basically said, I want to make sure that anyone can invest and they don't have to worry about costs when they do. I'm so annoyed. Can you tell?
Yeah, I'm being the voice of reason tonight. That's crazy.
Because you're sober. Well done.
So poor.
Yeah.
Right. So on that note, thank you for watching. Please give us a like, subscribe. If you're watching the catch up, give us a comment. Give HG a sensible question, not about transfers, and he might answer it when he's not so annoyed. He might calm down tomorrow. Hopefully, he probably won't. He'll just be ranting in WhatsApp to us. Thanks for watching.
I will be ranting on my Facebook page in the morning. I've got the thing set up. We haven't signed anyone. Just
if you don't like his Facebook page, are you at 10,000 yet?
No.
No, come on. Let's get HG over 10,000 on his. He's really close to 10,000 on his Facebook page. Let's get him over that. That's his thing as well. The Harlow Globetrotter on Facebook. If you're not on Facebook, I'm sure we'll get him on TikTok.
Yeah, if you're under 25, you are not on Facebook. I get it, but yeah, it's.
There was some young lad. I mean, he was about 14. I mean, he had a squeaky voice on Sky Sports earlier. Who's got almost 1 million followers on TikTok, and he just does transfer news. I've never been. I'm not on TikTok.
That's basically.
I'm in the wrong area. Like I really care.
I don't. Yeah.
So.
Thank you for watching, everyone. We're sorry it's been a bit depressing, but
it's not depressing.
We'll blame Tottenham Hotspur.
I mean, we can be delusional and be like, yeah, Bergvall's going to win World Player of the Year. Was it Golden Boy? No.
Brendan Johnson's had a blood transfusion with Gareth Bale, and now he's going to start scoring 30-yard screamers.
Can you, if he scores, he's still rubbish, and that makes me sound like.
And he's right.
I don't want to do that.
It's a brilliant Facebook page. The Harlow Globetrotter, definitely follow it.
Yeah.
And on that note, I'm going to say I really hope I'm wrong about us losing to Newcastle, but come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.